So you're looking for the gearing on your fixed gear that will best suit the terrain you ride and your riding style? Well, here's the Fixed Gear Gearing Guide. Be sure to watch until the end to catch my tips to find the gearing that's best for you. What's up everybody, I'm Zach Gallardo. Life is short, but don't make it shorter, so ride your bike every day to be reasonably dangerous. Subscribe for more fixed gear videos just like this one. To find the gearing that's best for you, we need to understand some gearing basics. Gearing is measured in what's called gear inches. The higher the gear inches, the harder it will be to pedal and the faster you'll go. Gear inches equals the diameter of the drive wheel, that is the wheel that spins when you turn the cranks, times the number of teeth on the chainring, divided by the number of teeth on the cog. To increase your gear inches, either increase the number of teeth on your chainring or decrease the number of teeth on the cog. I know it's a little counterintuitive. This smaller 13-tooth cog will be harder to pedal and have a higher max speed than this bigger 17-tooth cog. The chainring, on the other hand, makes sense. The bigger your chainring, the bigger your gearing. Most riders are on 700C wheels, but just keep in mind that changing your tire width will also change your gearing a little bit. For instance, my bike has a 48-17 gear ratio with 38C tires, giving me 77 gear inches. But if I swap my tires out for 23C tires, my gearing goes down to 74 gear inches, which is noticeable. Gearing will influence your riding style by affecting your cadence and your bike's resistance. Cadence is how fast you're turning the cranks, measured in revolutions per minute or RPM. Resistance is how hard it is to push the pedals. Keep in mind that the terms hard or easy, steep or fast are all relative. Whatever you think is hard or easy or steep is hard or easy or steep. Much of choosing your gearing is personal preference. It's your bike, so choose the gearing that you like best. The gearing that will be best for you depends on your strength, the terrain you ride, whether you like to spin or mash, whether you're riding with brakes or not, how rough the surfaces that you'll be riding on are, how much weight you'll be carrying, the list goes on. But generally speaking, most people are comfortable pedaling between 75 and 90 RPM. That's about 1.5 pedal strokes every second. But part of the fun of riding fixed is not always being able to be in that ideal cadence and being forced to mash up that hill or against that headwind. I recommend choosing a gear that's low enough to get you up the steepest hills that you ride, but is as high as you can go without having to get off and walk your bike. Here are my gearing recommendations. They won't be ideal for everybody, but they will give you a good starting point. 50 to 70-ish gear inches is a bit on the low end and is good if you do a lot of climbing or are carrying a lot of weight. You'll be able to get up steep hills, but you might find yourself spinning out on the flats. I rode with 70 gear inches when I regularly carried 20 plus pounds of groceries up hills in San Diego, and when I was living in notoriously steep San Francisco. 75 to 85-ish gear inches is considered medium gearing, and most fixed gears come stock with about 75 gear inches because it's the sweet spot for a lot of people. The 75 to 85 gear inch range is great if you do about 50% climbing and 50% flat riding. You won't spin out on the flats often, and you'll be able to get up some pretty steep hills if you push yourself. And you'll be able to maintain balance on descents more easily, since the higher gearing won't make you spin like crazy. I'm currently riding 77 gear inches in flat but windy Sacramento, and I still have room to gear up. High gearing is the 90 to 120 and up gear inch range. This gearing is for racing and trying to break records, and I don't recommend going over 90 if you're just riding out in the streets. Too high a gearing can lead to injuries, with knee injuries being the most common. The best way to find out which gearing is best for your needs and for your riding style is just to try out a bunch of different gears. Use the gear inch calculator in the description to find out what your current gearing is so you can have a reference point. The most efficient way to try out different gears is to swap out cogs. Buy cheap cogs, a chain whip, a lockering tool, and a chain breaker so you can swap them out yourself. Always buy high quality tools, and you can find my recommendations for tools in the description. If you learn how to use them, they pay for themselves. If you buy cheap tools, a lot of times they won't work properly or they'll break, which can lead to damaging your bike. So a lot of times you'll have to end up buying the nice tools anyway. It's fine to buy cheap cogs to experiment with your gearing. Once you find a gearing that you like, you can always upgrade to a higher quality, smoother running cog. Swapping cogs is best because it's cost effective, it's easy, and it makes a more noticeable difference than swapping chain rings. Some bike shops will have cogs lying around that you can buy for cheap, or sometimes they'll just give them to you for free if you ask nicely. Cogs make a bigger difference in gearing that you'll be able to feel. A 1-tooth difference on the cog will change your gearing by about 3 to 4 gear inches, which you will be able to feel. A 1-tooth difference on a chainring, on the other hand, will only produce about 1 to 2 gear inches of difference, which you might not be able to feel. Remember, gearing is highly subjective and there's no one best gearing for one person, let alone for everybody. Don't fall into the trap that a higher gearing makes you a stronger rider. A higher gear represents a higher top speed, but it doesn't necessarily make you faster. Your fitness and your technique will make you fast. Gearing will help you be fast, but it won't take you there. I tend to ride with spinnier, lower gearing, but I can hang with the fastest riders with higher gearings on group rides because I have the gearing that best suits my riding style. Experiment and find the gearing that's best for you so you can crush the terrain and be reasonably dangerous. Question of the day: what fixed or single speed gearing do you ride and what kind of terrain do you ride? Let's get a discussion going on in the comments so we can help out those who are looking for their ideal gearing. Fixie famous shout out to Mikey Sincox, Jeziel, Mark Vandeventer, Durella01, Evil Ernie for supporting the channel through Patreon. Don't watch this upcoming video if you haven't ridden your bike yet. Ride your bike every day to be reasonably dangerous.